begin with a meditation. And since my voice is not 100%, so I will not be doing too much talking with the meditation. You've probably been praying for that, and now it's happening. Okay. All right. Okay. Bring to mind the intention that you're going to meditate. Be aware of how the different parts of you are responding to this intention to meditate. Hold the understanding that they know what meditation is and they are participating, they are cooperating. Your body's cooperating, your energies are cooperating, your emotions, your mind, every part of you is cooperating. So just stay still, stay in the center of all these parts. Feel their cooperative response. And when you feel an impulse to do something, it's not just a distracting impulse. It could be communication coming from one of those parts, asking you to make adjustments so that you can go as deeply as you can into this meditation. So bring attention to the part of us that is very present, very obvious, the physical body. Feel a connection to the natural intelligence that is in the physical body. Pay attention to it as it guides you, as you feel the need to make adjustments here with the legs, with the arms, with the torso and back, with the head and neck, with your eyes, so that each part of the posture is conducive to meditation. You should feel an overall sense of comfort as well as stability. And once you feel a sense of confidence in the comfort and stability within the body itself, you should feel your whole being touching meditation. Feel a sense of calming, a pleasantness, a sense of clearing of the mind, a sense of brightening of awareness, a sense of attention being collected. And once you feel confident with the posture, then gently bring attention to the breath. As you breathe in, know simply you are breathing in. As you breathe out, simply know you're breathing out without trying to control the in-breath, without trying to control the out-breath. In the same way of allowing, we make contact with a sense of touching meditation through the signs of calming, pleasantness, and so forth in the body, palpably in a way. You will feel something similar to these signs in the breath, a sense of calming in the breath, a pleasantness to the very act of breathing, a sense of clearly knowing this is breathing, a sense of being very present. It's not just you breathe and you're aware of the breath that you took, but as you're breathing, you're aware. That's the luminosity, that's the radiance of the mind, of awareness. Notice these signs, rejoice. The rejoicing is like fuel to help us go deeper into this experience. Eventually, notice a slight shift in the behavior of the breath, a shift that is closer to the signs of calming, pleasantness, and so forth. Once you notice that slight shift, be ready to completely commit to this meditation session. As a sign of making that commitment, we will take a deep conscious breath. So be aware of the signs wherever they are strongest, whether they are strongest in the physical body, in the energetic body, in the breath, in the mind, in the emotions, wherever you feel the signs are the strongest, stay there. And as you stay there, take a nice deep breath, gently, fully breathe in, hold the breath, getting ready to dive deeper into the signs and release. And as you release, notice yourself going deeper into the signs, deeper into the calm, deeper into the pleasantness, deeper into the clarity, deeper into the radiance. Noticing these signs, rejoice. And at the end of that breath, stay, but leave the breath alone, but stay in the new depth, stay in the new calm, the new pleasantness, the new clarity, the new radiance, the new focus. Perhaps now you are aware of inner sensations. The heartbeat is a bit felt strong. You're feeling it a bit stronger. You're feeling pulses perhaps in your head, wrist, or wherever. You might be feeling sensations moving within the body. You might be hearing sounds, seeing visions. All these are signs that your consciousness is getting clearer and brighter. So noticing these, rejoice. And to help stabilize and deepen this experience even further, we will take 2 more full conscious breaths. So stay connected to the sign, whichever is strongest. Staying connected, breathe in. Staying connected, holding the breath. And the intention to go deeper, release. And as you release, feel yourself going deeper into the signs, deeper into the calm, deeper into the pleasantness, deeper into the clarity, deeper into the radiance, deeper into focus, and stay. Leave the breath alone and just stay, noticing the new depth of the calm, the pleasantness, the clarity, the radiance, rejoicing. And the inner signs are stronger, means that your mind is now even clearer. Your mind is now even brighter. And sensations are just appearing to you rather than you deliberately trying to create them. You're encountering them. That means your mind is clearer, freer. Rejoice. And staying in this new depth, intention to go even deeper. For the 3rd time, another deep breath. Breathe in, hold, and release. And remind yourself that you've crossed the bridge. You are now in meditation. You are in some measure, in some depth in meditation. No matter how familiar experiences seem to be, know that these experiences are only familiar. They're not the same. This is indeed a new consciousness, having new perceptions. Even though you're hearing the same sound that you were hearing before, but you're hearing it with a different consciousness. And if you allow yourself, you will notice there's a difference in how you are perceiving, how you are experiencing. And if you allow yourself, you will go even deeper, where these experiences become more vivid, more present, more vibrant. And the calm becomes calmer. The pleasantness becomes more pleasant. Attention becomes more malleable, more directable, more collected. There's a part of you that is the validator of truth. It comes and goes without any warnings sometimes, most of the time. But there is a sense that it is there. You can rely on it to help you validate an experience. Is this true or is this just imaginary? So direct your attention towards that inner validator. It is this one who will validate for you, you are now enlightened. You have now awakened. You are now experiencing directly the truth. So direct your attention towards that. Don't imagine it to be something, but if your imagination by itself creates images, creates experiences, know that they are being created only as a means to help you connect. It's not that these images are themselves the validator, but they are means to help you direct your attention towards the validator. And as you are directing your attention towards the validator to strengthen the sense of connection, to strengthen the sense of immediacy, have deep respect. Have strong, deep trust. And let the very sentiment of trust, the very sentiment of respect take you even deeper, deeper into the calm, deeper into the pleasantness, deeper into clarity, deeper into radiance, deeper into focus. And with strong conviction, and by strong conviction, I don't mean that 100% or 90% of your mind is in that conviction, but whatever measure your mind is able to hold on to it, even if it's 1% of your mind, but it's a very strong conviction. It's a 1% where in that 1% there is total trust. This inner validator will be there for you, will protect you from falsehood, will guide you. So whatever percentage you're able to hold on to of that, hold on to it. Ignore the other parts. Don't chase them away. Just hold on to that whatever percentage of a strong conviction, how you can completely rely on this inner validator. Just turn your mind towards that direction when, as soon as you ask a question, you feel your mind going in towards a direction. So go towards that direction, that inner direction of knowing the validator, the answerer will be encountered. Go towards that direction. Doesn't matter if you make an encounter or not, but just go there. If it could be just a waiting room, just go there. And with that, hold a great sense of gratitude. And the gratitude is, yes, I will be protected. I am protected. I will be guided. I am being guided. And express gratitude. And as you're expressing the gratitude, go deeper into the calm, deeper into the pleasantness, deeper into the clarity, deeper into the radiance, more collected attention. and allow yourself to stay in that space where that part of you that understands directly, truly, is immediately at your disposal. Feeling ready, go to just the space of the meditation. Notice the signs that you're indeed meditating. Rejoice. And wishing to stay connected with that validator, that innate capacity to understand directly, truly, and to help you make a strong connection, a strong sense of presence. Bring in compassion, compassion for yourself, compassion for those you love, compassion for all, in whatever, to whatever degree that you can hold compassion. And get ready to come out of the meditation, but staying connected with that validator. Gently, fully take a nice deep breath. Hold and release. And as you release, deliberately, consciously reconnect with your immediate surroundings. Be aware of the feeling of your clothing again, the temperature of the room, hearing the different sounds, deliberately seeing colors, shapes, lights, shadows. Okay. Before I begin, relay a little, I guess, a tiny bit of a story. I was listening to this podcast. I'm not going to say which one it is, but there were these two people discussing a matter that I thought was very beautiful to listen to. But at the same time, as I was listening to what they were saying, um, for lack of a better word, all I can say is that at the end of it, I ended up with getting absolutely nothing. But the conversation was very beautiful. It was very abstract, but the kind of abstract conversation that seems to be immediate, like you feel like something immediate is about to be given to you that you can actually take and bring into your life, but it stays in the abstract world. But it's beautiful. So perhaps, and the other reason why I'm not going to say what the podcast may have been, maybe they were discussing things that were absolutely marvelous and very profound. I was just too stupid to understand. So I'm not going to tell you what podcast so that you go listen and you say, oh, you were just stupid. They were actually saying profound things. So my ego is protecting me, so I'm not going to say anything. But I ended up coming out of that saying, that was absolutely beautiful BS. A lot of beautiful words that absolutely do nothing. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because that word itself, paradox, and everything connected to it. Um, I've entered many conversations that were mind blowing, and I come out absolutely nothing to bring to my life. But the conversation was absolutely gorgeous, mind blowing. Okay. So I don't want this talk on paradox to end up being that way, where we end up saying beautiful things, seemingly very profound things, but uh, they have nothing to do with our life, with our everyday life. Okay. So before I even begin that, I want to remind you again, and I like reminding people of this because I think after some time being on the path, we forget the reason why we got on the path in the first place. And it's understandable why we may forget. If we may forget because uh, we made the immediate goal to be something that is very far, and because we're not immediately experiencing this goal that is very far, we become discouraged that it's possible. So we stay on the path merely as I would say merely as ornament. It's something we wear just to decorate ourselves. Something to have with us just in case we are in a salon and then you have a lot of intellectual people they're talking about things and then you can make a contribution to the conversation that's there and then you can sound to be very, very, very profound, but no real experience uh, that you can validate for your own self. But you have these beautiful words. You can quote Nagarjuna. No, on page 45 of the Mullah, he said directly, but it has nothing to do with the fact that you're having a lot of anxiety. Your life is not exactly where you would like it to be, and there are a lot of things that are grabbing your attention in your life, but you're not able to deal with them. But you can quote so many people. Okay. So the token paradox can end up being that way. And that's one of the things that I do not want at all for any of our gatherings to be just for the sake of intellectual, just for the intellect. Okay. All right. That very term itself, paradox. Um, how often have you encountered that? How often have you talked about it? How often have you thought about it? And when you encounter the word, what has been your experience with it? What has uh, what life experience made you use the word paradox? It's a question you can answer. Yeah. Okay. All right. You're being shy. Okay.
And I can say something like
Yeah. Say
I,
something.
when I teach, I use the word paradox because there is a paradox that I have to teach to people. So I don't think that qualifies for as an answer, right?
Mm,
But there are occasions, but you are correct in the sense like I don't have a very good relationship with the word paradox, if that's
mm,
what you're looking for. I don't. I kind of vaguely know what it is, but I don't think, I use it in a manner it's supposed to be used.
mm. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a word that we encounter a lot unless you are in the fields such as theoretical physicists, where they talk about these kinds of things a lot. Oh, it's a paradox. Um, but one way that we do encounter paradox is in our everyday life. Uh, can you think of examples where we encounter paradoxes in our everyday life? Either we try to avoid it, or we use it as an excuse. Uh, okay. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that after tonight, your mind should be looking for paradoxes. It should become everyday thing for you. At first, the real experience of paradoxes should be uncomfortable. If it's not uncomfortable at first, you're in that intellectual salon kind of thing where you're just, living in the abstract. where you're not really dealing with your life as it is. Okay, your first experiential encounter with paradox should be discomfort. Okay, a real paradox should be discomfort. And the reason that it's uncomfortable is because the thing in one of the dynamic experience of a paradox is that you are holding two things to be true, and you cannot come to a conclusion where one is dismissed. Okay, they're both things are presenting themselves as truth, and they're doing that validly. They both are presenting validly that they are the truth. And sometimes they're completely opposite of each other. Or sometimes they seem to they have to negate each other. They cannot exist in the same universe. And the natural tendency is to that's where the suddenly we become um, compassionate. Suddenly we are making pleas to love. Let's have harmony. Let's not fight. Suddenly we become peacemakers because it is uncomfortable to hold the paradox. So the reason that I said from after tonight you should become more and more familiar with holding paradox, basically what I'm asking you to do is become more and more capable of holding paradox with ease, where it's not uncomfortable anymore. Okay, being able to hold paradox or paradoxes and don't feel that the very experience of experiencing paradox is asking you to be a peacemaker. Okay, a paradox is not necessarily an encounter where you're being asked to be a peacemaker, where you make a decision. Okay, one, you're all right, you're all wrong, and then you pass judgment. Okay, but rather to be at ease, to be comfortable with the fact that those two things actually exist, and in one sense they are opposing, they seem to be opposing each other. Okay, and that is uh, in a way once you become an Arya. Arya is the someone who has had a direct encounter with the true nature of reality. Okay, I'm not gonna say, should I say? Well, never mind. Once you made a direct encounter, you have a direct experience about reality that is undeniable, that is irrefutable, um, then you come out of the experience, then the rest of your life is you're living in a paradox. So for the rest of your career as a spiritual practitioner is to be at ease with this paradox. Um, and I'll throw out the easiest paradox that everyone knows about Buddhism. Okay. Um, you don't exist. You better be kind. You don't exist. You better watch out what you're doing. Okay. So you're being presented what seems to be a paradox. In one hand, while you are listening, I'm saying that on purpose. So you are listening to someone telling you, hey, you don't exist. And this is supposed to be someone of authority, someone at whose feet you spent a lot of, you invested a lot to go listen to, and you take this person as an authority who will set you straight. And while you are listening to this person is telling you, by the way, you who's sitting here, you don't exist. if you're, remember the email did say bring Tylenol, okay? If you just dismiss this, that means you're not thinking about it. You never thought the person has an authority in the first place, so you just dismiss the person. You go somewhere else. But if you really are sincerely trying to understand what the person is really trying to say, you should have a bit of a headache, right? And I encounter a few people who, in trying to understand this, they will say, uh, um, I'm not going to say, I was going to say silly things, but I just said it, but I'm not going to say it. They will say paradoxical things like, uh, I don't exist anyway. They will make statements like stuff like that. But I don't exist anyway, right? So how are we to understand that? So in what way is it that we both don't exist and at the same time we exist? And that is you could say that is the central point that Buddhism is presents. Okay. Now, remember what I said in the beginning of this thing about it being practical, about it being something that you can actually use. What has that got to do with the price of eggs? What has that got to do with the mortgage? I wish I could say the mortgage doesn't exist and everything will be taken care of. When when the law comes knocking at your door, uh, you can tell the law, wait a minute, I don't exist, so there's no one here for you to arrest. I don't exist, there's no one here who owes you money. I don't exist, so there's no one who has a mortgage. Okay, uh, but unfortunately, it won't help you that way. Okay, uh, what it is pointing to is um, there is a way you do live exists, and right now existence is appearing in something you call a universe. If there are other ways of existing, I'm not denying them, but I cannot say that there are. Okay, but you exist, and you appear to exist in a container called a universe. Okay, and you do feel at times when things are not going a certain way, you feel uh, um, an impulse to try to do something to change the direction, right? So there's an instinct within us that I would almost say that there's a part of us that knows that somewhere deep within us, there's a knowing I participated in in the universe that I'm living in. I participated in how it is, how I'm experiencing it. And because of this instinctive understanding, that's why we have this impulse to try to do something to change the direction. Because if it was absolutely there's nothing I can do, I'm just being forced to experience this, what can what iota of anything I can do to change the direction? All I have to do is just watch myself go in the direction. But there's an impulse. There's a search. I'm looking to know something. I'm looking to find something, to find some resources that somehow by finding it, by knowing it, I believe, I'm convinced I can shift the direction and I can go in a different direction. Okay. So because of this possibility, because of this instinct, it is pointing to the nature of reality. the nature of your, that is the fundamental, um, your fundamental, at the most fundamental way of you, the way you are, there's a pointing to the fundamental way the universe is. By fundamental, I mean, um, almost as if, imagine this, uh, there's an engine driving the universe is a car, right? And there's an engine, there's a steering wheel and all that kind of stuff, and you're in the back, and the driver has gone to sleep. Maybe that's not a good analogy. But if you can reach to that thing that is responsible for where the car is going, you can direct it. Right? In that same way, that's what I mean by fundamental. There's something that you feel that you can connect with that can steer the direction what your reality experience can become. Okay? You can steer the direction of what you can experience out of reality. And this instinct is with us all the time. We can do a little thought experiment. Uh, just now, as I said, you're going to do a thought experiment. What are you doing with your mind? You're already doing something. You're setting yourself up to participate. I'm going to ask a question and already notice your mind going in a certain direction, in some inner dimensional mental dimension kind of way direction, right? You feel your mind heading towards a direction as if, oh, answers are here. Okay. I mean, like you feel your mind going towards where it believes, where it is convinced answers to questions are found in this direction. Okay. And the question is, that was it. That was just the experience. I didn't want you to have to create an answer for me. I just wanted you to have the experience of noticing your mind turning towards something with conviction. It doesn't matter what the question would have been, your mind would have turned toward that direction with conviction that it's going to find that answer. That same sort of instinctive uh, um, behavior of the mind going towards where it absolutely is convinced answers are found. In that same way, there is that part of you that is, you could say, uh, uh, I'm afraid of saying that because they might be proof for a view that I don't like. So I'm not giving support to that view, but it may seem to be that way. There's a part within us that is um, not sold, not convinced about about the conclusions that we have drawn about our experiences. Okay. There's a part of us that has not uh, become completely convinced the way on the surface we have become convinced about our reality. Okay. On the surface, there is a sort of acceptance of reality the way it appears to us. But deep within, there's a part that is untouched by this conviction. Okay. And when when you are about to answer a question, when you're listening, you're turning towards that part. It's like my hands are dirty, your hands are not dirty. You go touch that because if I touch it, the grime in my hand is gonna just mess it up. Okay. we are there is that part of us that is untouched by um, by the fact that we have fallen prey to misunderstanding. There's a part of us that is untouched. Now, exactly what that part looks like, where is it, and all that kind of stuff, or other kinds of description about it, I have no idea. I don't know what to say about it, other than that it seems to be there's that part. Okay? It may not even be a part, as far as the way we understand parts. But just for the sake of talking, we say part. Okay? So that part that is untouched, that has somehow maintained a sense of innocence, that has not completely bought into all the understanding that we think we have about the world. It doesn't believe in those any of those convictions. It doesn't hold any of those convictions. Okay, you could say that part, and this is where it's gonna sound like I'm promoting that other idea. I'm not. It's only gonna seem that way. It's a paradox. Okay. Uh, that part is always connected with truth. And some schools, of some philosophical schools, some spiritual schools, they call that the higher soul. I have no idea what that means, but no, just for the sake of talking about it, we'll give it a name. Okay? And Buddhism, of course, doesn't give it a name. That's why it remains completely vague in Buddhism. But because the thing is, uh, the part of the mind that is trying to hold this part, that part of the mind is already dirty, that is already caught up in lies and accepting lies and confusion. And if it tries to hold that, it's going to hold it with its dirty hands, with its confusion. It's gonna give it some sort of nature that it doesn't have, and it's gonna end up fighting other people because they're not. It doesn't have some of the aspect that you said is supposed to have that you're experiencing, all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, uh, the reason I'm pointing to that is that once the question, when the Buddha became enlightened, who validated the experience and said, "Hey, yeah, you're enlightened"? It was the Buddha himself. From his own depth of his being, there was a sense of recognition. This is what I've been looking for. Okay. So that part is within you, and that part will give you that validation. Yes, this is what we've been looking for. So that part, in order for that part to be able to do that validation, and I'm saying part, don't think that you're separated into different parts, and don't think that you're not. Paradox. So as a way of talking about this thing, we're gonna say parts, but don't think that there's absolutely, in an absolute sense, there are parts. Okay? I'm giving you experience of paradox. Okay? Uh, so uh, just for the sake of talking about this experience, we will say there's a part. We're just talking about something. Okay? Of an experience. In order for us to be able to validate, there has to be a part that is constantly connected to that truth. And when there's a sense of, I think I have encountered the truth, what are you gonna compare it with to know that is the truth, to that part that is constantly connected to the truth. Okay. And because of that, you have a bunch of philosophies out there about that you already enlightened, you just forgot, or you're enlightened, just wash away the part that's not enlightened, and then so however, whatever that is supposed to do for you, okay, let it do what it's supposed to do for you. But the thing is, they're not necessarily absolutely truth. They're just tools to help us understand an experience. Okay? All that, what I'm saying is, I'm just giving you tools using words to help us understand an experience. Okay? Okay. So there is that part that is that has never been tainted by our ignorance. Does that mean that we are already enlightened? What does that mean? Whatever. Maybe enlightenment has a different meaning for you, and the word enlightened has a different meaning for you. So it might this might mean, oh yeah, this fits my definition of enlightenment. Okay, whatever that means for you, but it doesn't fit my definition of enlightenment. Okay, uh, so at so here we are, appearing in the world, encountering, having experiences. And as we are having experiences, there are experiences that we wish that we were not having, whatever the experience may be. You don't have to compare it with experiences to be had and check to see whether or not you should be having it or not. But deep within you, there's a wish I wasn't having this experience. And because of that wish, suddenly there is this instinct, a conviction that I can do something about it. There's something that I can do so that I can no longer have this experience. Or if you see it as an experience that is coming in the future, and you can say, there's something I can do to avoid it. Okay. And you seek to know, you seek to have access to whatever it is that can help you either stop having the experience or avoid the experience. Where do you turn to? You turn to that aspect that, just for the sake of giving it a name, calling it an inner validator. You turn to that inner validator because it is constantly in contact with the truth so that it can you can be advised as to what direction to go to. And it seems like you are going to someone, but it's just you turning to yourself. And why are you turning to yourself? It's just you. How many yous are there? This is the beauty of this fundamental way of being. It is such that it allows us to have this kind of experience where there's a part of us having an experience and a part of us not having the experience. And am I two? You're, in an absolute sense, you're neither two nor one. Okay? In an absolute sense, you're neither two nor are you one. If you cannot live with that, if you're finding this difficult, you are experiencing the difficulty of trying to hold a paradox. In an absolute sense, you are neither one nor two, but you are such you can experience yourself as one. You are such you can experience yourself as two. Okay. And there are possibilities where you experience yourself as both one and both two. Okay. Okay, it's time for the Tylenol. So what is being described here is the only thing that you can say with absolute certainty is absolute freedom. Your nature is absolute freedom. You are so free, you can be one and you can be two, and both will be valid. And your freedom is so absolute, you can experience yourself having no freedom. That's how free you are. You can experience yourself having no freedom whatsoever, but you're free. Paradox. Hold that. So that's reality itself, you could say, is just one paradox. All of reality is paradox. And so when you go out into the world, there's a part that seems to be a peacemaker, wants things to be one way or the other way, not two. Be careful of that part of your mind where it is where you are feeling uncomfortable, where two things are presenting themselves to you and they're both valid and they seem to be opposing each other. Where someone is an absolute demon and at the same time the person is an absolute angel. And you have direct experience of both. So which one is it? What's the answer to the question?
Neither.
Yeah. But is that the absolute answer?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or it could be all of it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I think it could also be demon, angel, and nothing.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
So
that's really a paradox too.
yeah. Yeah. So it's all these answers. It is neither. It is both. It is something else. All these are valid answers. And that part of the mind, that part of us that feels uncomfortable with that, we have to train it to become comfortable with that. Okay. And that is perhaps in a very real world sort of like application is the reason why there is so much striving, because a lot of us find it difficult to be able to hold these paradoxes. We feel the need to make it a one or the other. That way we will somehow, where did that come from anyway? Why should it be one or the other? That itself is just a conditioning that we train our mind. We condition our mind, we train our mind that it must be one or the other. This itself is not the very nature of the mind, that wherever there's a mind, the mind must have one or the other. This is just a conditioning that the mind went through. And it, now, because of the conditioning, it's not capable of being at ease with the paradoxes. Now, just because it's a paradox, like, um, okay, I'm going to give you most of you will encounter this. I don't know if any of you have encountered this already. Okay, but if you haven't encountered this, you will encounter this in some future time. So you're enlightened, and you're in one of your many emanations. You're doing a promenade on some planet somewhere, and you encounter two beings engage in a violent interaction. And one of them appears to you to be weak, definitely weaker, and the one that appears to be weaker um, seems to be the one who's definitely a victim of the other. Okay, you're an enlightened being, so what are you going to do? This is going to happen to you. Okay, I guarantee. So let's start training now. What are you going to do? Well, who are you going to help?
Well, the example I can think of that I've had is my two grandsons. They always bicker with each other.
Oh, good. That's a good one.
And the one who always seems like the victim because he screams the loudest is the younger one. But sometimes he's the actual antagonist, and he's the one who's created these situations. And so one time they were with me and they were just going back and forth, and were waiting for me to say something.
Mm-hmm.
And I just came at him and said, "Oh, you guys duke it out, scream louder, I don't care." That made them stop because I didn't take either side. I didn't tell one or the other they were wrong. I just said that this is what you guys want to do, continue to do it. I'm just going to sit here and continue doing what I'm doing.
That's a very skillful way of with that encounter. Yeah. Uh, uh,
I was just going to say that as a human being, I look at people and it seems like one person is one way, another person is another way
mhm,
from my limited point of view at the
mhm,
moment.
mhm,
And I always think I could be wrong. I don't know.
mhm.
And I can't imagine myself as a higher being saying anything but that because I just see everything as karma and kind of energy. And I don't know how to make a judgment on who is the one to help. I
Oh,
couldn't.
we've taken care of that.
Oh, have
You're
we?
enlightened now.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, that's yeah, okay. I guess maybe I can't conceive of that. Okay, where a person's enlightened and they're looking at someone who looks like they really need help. The other person's taking advantage of them and hurting them. What do you do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I have okay.
No, it's not me telling you what I think I'm seeing. I'm saying what you are seeing as an enlightened being. As an
But
enlightened being, what do you do?
okay, so I have a question. There's a difference between action and judgment.
Good,
You
good.
you choose an action. You do
hmm
something. You help a situation. You don't judge what's right and wrong. You just help the situation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think definitely we being enlightened, we are no longer subject to making judgments. We just see things as they are. This if this person is being at a disadvantage, and perhaps your with your vision, you could say, "Oh, but this person needs this experience. Okay, let me go on." Like Sia's situation. Or you can say, "Ah, all right, if I help this person, then it will help." The thing is, you enter the situation with not with the need, not with the seeking to pass judgment, but how can I really help? And it's not which one I can help, but how can I help both of them? Okay,
Well,
you're enlightened now, so
and
you're not being let's
and
say
and further
partial.
than that, you've done Phuntsok's work to be comfortable with juxtaposition and with paradox. So it doesn't even matter if you make the wrong choice. It's not about you always doing the right thing. It's about doing something.
Yes, yes. Okay, yeah. The thing is, you will always have your perspective until you're enlightened, an enlightened being. Your perspective will always be tainted, but you have no other perspective other than that. So you enter the situation with this understanding, I may be completely wrong here, but this is what I'm seeing, and I have to take an action. And the action you take will, because it is coming from a place of sincerity, it will strengthen your connection to truth. But if you see it and you're having a fantasy about what it's supposed to be, or maybe it's two angels having a fight about yogurt. That is not what you're seeing, but in a way to avoid taking action, you're pretending it to be something else. And then you make a decision on your pretense that is not honoring truth. The truth is, I may be completely wrong. Maybe it was the mushroom I had last night. But right now, this is what I'm seeing. This is what appears to be truth to me, and I must act from what I'm seeing to be truthful. Okay? And just deciding to take an action based on what you feel to be truth or what you are, uh, but not feel to be truth in the sense that it must be true, but you're still holding, because you're not enlightened yet and you know that, so you're still holding that possibility. Like maybe in the act of doing it, in acting, it will shift, it will become something else. Then I'm ready to now to accept the change that has come, rather than no, that's what it was before, and I'm going to do it anyway because that's what it was before. But you're constantly in paradox. It seems to be saying I should act, okay, I'm going to act, but I'm ready to not act if that's what the perception that comes up decide that for me to do, and I will stop. I'm not stuck to taking action, nor am I stuck to not taking action. So paradox keeps us in constant flow because that's what the reality is. Reality is constant flow. Reality never stops. Stopping is not in the nature of reality. Flow is reality. So as soon as reality, if that was possible, stops flowing, then non-existence would appear. Okay, there will be no more reality. The very nature of reality is flux. Okay, so the very nature of air is, what's the nature of air? Whatever it does. So for it to be air, it has that nature. For reality to be reality, it is a constant flowing. If it stops, there's no more reality. We're not talking about reality anymore. Okay.
But is it like accepting the reality regard and disconnecting yourself from the social conditioning you have around a particular thing? So I'll give you an
Okay.
example. I
Oh,
went
yes,
to,
yes,
I'll give you
yes.
an example. So um, I come from out of the fashion industry, and I
Mm,
went to an art gallery in Atlanta, and a woman showed up in a fur coat and flip flops. Now, my conditioning is that nobody should wear flip flops with their fur coat.
mm-hmm,
But then I had to check myself and say, if she wants to wear flip flops with her fur coat, that's her flow, right?
mm-hmm,
And so it's not for me to make any judgment because that's what works for her. It may not work for me.
mm-hmm.
So that kind of, so it's not only just the action in the physical, but it's also the action in the mental.
Oh, yeah.
You're thinking about things and how you've been conditioning to see it one way or another, that it has to be always this way, but it doesn't. It
Mm-hmm.
just, like you said, it just flows.
Yeah. Oh, very good. So action, I mean, when we hear the word action, we think the body doing something. Action doesn't, that is not only involved with the body doing something. It's all the different parts of you arriving at whatever, arriving at a state and doing something with your mind, doing something with your speech, doing something energetically, okay, doing something emotionally, doing something intellectually. So all these are actions. Okay. And I have to say, sorry, no flip-flop with a fur coat.
I completely disagree.
There you go. See, there's the paradox.
And I know the next day, Sia put on a fur coat with some flip-flops.
Absolutely right. How did you know?
Yes, something that you were pointing to in terms of application in life, the things of the paradox. Uh, that uh, the way it translates for us in terms of everyday action is uh, when we encounter the world, uh, understand that how would you say that? It's like the world exists multidimensionally. It exists multidimensionally. And your experience from your dimension could be one way, and someone else's experience from their dimension could be another way. And it's neither one nor the other. Okay. Yours is valid for you, and theirs is valid for them. But you must act honestly. Like, for example, with your example, the action is not necessarily, I gotta write an article about that lady with the thing, or it could be like you took the action you took was, I must change my pers perspective about this. That the action is not necessarily go do something to them. The action mostly the action must be what are you going to do with yourself? Okay. Like, oh my goodness, I can't stand seeing this. Fur coat with flip-flop. Oh, this is giving me a headache. It's that person is in bliss. Why is her flip-flop and her fur coat giving her bliss? And yet for you, it's giving you a headache. So she should change. She should stop having bliss with her flip-flop and fur coat. But since I'm the one who is not at ease with it, maybe I should think of doing some action with myself. That conviction that I was holding that those things don't belong together. I should look readdress 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 re,
Reassess.
reassess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I did.
All right.
I will not be rocking flip flops.
Uh, the very last thing I want to say before we close, um, and I'm gonna go into the philosophical thing. I mean, some of you are, came here just for the philosophy. You're about to leave because no philosophy is talked about. Okay, here it is before you go. Um, uh, the best, well, not, okay, yeah, all right. The authority within Buddhism that presents the paradoxical perspective of reality is Nagarjuna. And there's a text where Nagarjuna asks this question, but doesn't give an answer, right? Um, but he actually took it from a sutra where a very early sutra. So both it's Nagarjuna with every Tibetan, Chinese, Japanese Buddhist say, yeah, Nagarjuna. But not every Buddhist necessarily says yeah Nagarjuna. Okay, so for the other Buddhists who don't agree necessarily with Nagarjuna, but Nagarjuna was quoting from someone that they see as authority. Okay, so here it is. When you look at the yourself, But it's not just yourself, but whatever it is that you're apprehending, whether it is the me, the sense of me, or you, or table, chair, house, whatever. Whenever you're apprehending something and you stop, there is a definite sense of apprehending something, right? And it has a certain air of validation to it, like me. And I'm while I'm having this very valid experience of an entity that is something that exists that I'm calling me, and at the same time I start to, okay, let me really look at what's here. Let me really look at what am I actually apprehending. There's a sense of apprehending a person, and taking that very valid sense of apprehending, look deeply, not deeply in a sense of take this out, but what is it that's really appearing to you? Okay. And you just look at it. What is actually appearing? And the way, just to put it philosophically speaking, you see you see uh, molding of different elements, molding of the element of earth, bones, muscles. So you could say, in a way, this is molding of the element of earth. And you see molding of the element of fire, molding of and so molding of the and called even space and consciousness, call them also elements, right? Because not every consciousness is necessarily exactly the same thing, right? So it's the molding of some of an element called consciousness that you're experiencing, right? So that's what you are perceiving. That's what's directly here. But at the same time, there's a sense of a me that is somewhat connected and not and disconnected at the same time. And then remember the mind wanting to make peace. Okay, it has to be one thing, it can be all those things. So which one is it? Is it the consciousness? Is it the earth? Is it the space? Is it the water? Is it the earth? So which one is it? If you take one out, will that entity that I'm calling me, that I'm apprehending, will remain? Okay, so your mind went to that place, you're looking for an answer? Okay, keep going that direction because I don't have the answer. The answer is paradox.
Yeah, like what we said earlier, when it's neither, and there's both,
Yeah,
there's other.
yeah.
It's just life.
Mhm. Yeah. So it is not one of them. It is not all of them. It is not none of them. It is not one of them. It is not all of them. It is not none of them. Okay. It is not none of them. You have to just sit up a little bit. All right. So you bought your aspirin and things like that. I hope you've taken it, at least two. And begin to become at ease with the world, with reality, which is a paradox. That's what it is. It's a paradox. So when you are having experiences, oh man, it's a paradox. congratulations. Okay. And then whatever action that you honestly have to take it, whether it's something you do out in the world or something you do just internally. Just be honest with what you have to do and be ready to change mid-course even. Okay. All right. Any questions?
I can like it and enjoy it and not like it at the same time, the paradox.
Yeah.
Hi, Phuntsok, good to see you.
Good to see you. I think someone had I uh, uh, a few lectures ago, I put someone in a state of paradox. I'm glad you're back.
Phuntsok, it was amazing. This was really good.
Mhm.
Wow. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. So, this nature of reality, truth, and all this,
Mhm.
is it again a way of connecting? In other words, is it a wordly way of saying what the experience is, which for which you need the word paradox? I don't know if I'm making myself clear. Is that it might appear paradoxical when you try to convey it this way, but once you start accepting dualities or whatever it is, right, then maybe it's just the flux that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Because what I've always noticed is I was kind of on the same boat as Sia, right? Like, there are many occasions when I look at something and I'm like, man, I can't even imagine somebody is doing that, right? I mean, it is real. Like, I mean, we all go through that.
Mhm.
But what I do at those moments is I catch and I say, who's the person who's telling that that person shouldn't do that?
Mhm.
Right? That's the first, right? Then I'm like, okay, it's me. So who told you this? Then slowly it crumbles. Everything just
Mhm.
falls apart. But I don't know how to say this, but it's easier for me to do that, practice that with the outside than
Mhm.
with the inside. With the inside, it's a war. It's like it's unbelievable. Doesn't even want to let go of anything. There's a huge fight, right? But so, I don't know. Like, I don't know, maybe if that's something. How do you deal with the internal paradoxes?
Okay. All right. All right. Here's a paradox to answer the question. There's an appearance of inner, an appearance of outer. Neither one trumps the other. Inner is not more real than outer. Outer is not more real than inner.
So it's coexisting.
Um, there's an appearance of coexistence, but they're not necessarily coexisting as if they're absolutely two separate things. They appear to be separate things, but that is their appearance.
And the paradox is it could be one thing.
What was that?
The paradox could be that it's one thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's that one thing? I don't know what. You know, create a word for it. It's an now.
There's a question in the text,
Oh yes.
the
Can you
chat
read it?
area, and she's asking, is there a way to rewatch this recording? Is it on YouTube or Patreon? Thank you.
Okay. Yes. This is definitely being recorded. Unfortunately, the last one I forgot to. I started pressing record. I put it on pause, and I forgot to unpause it. So sorry about that. So the last one was not recorded, but it was transcribed. If you want to read it. But this one is definitely being recorded, and then after all the fluffs have been removed, it will be on YouTube. Okay.
Hey,
Phuntsok
Phuntsok.
has a channel that you can subscribe to if you want to.
Yes. Thanks. Ah.
I have a
Uh. According to Mahayana, it seems like Buddhism is preparing you to go into a different way of existence called nirvana. It wants you to leave this way of existing called samsara, and then you enter into a different way of existing called nirvana. According to Mahayana Buddhism, real enlightenment transcends both, where you are neither in samsara nor are you in nirvana. You're just free. Okay. And what you said, Sia, reminded me of that. That's why I brought it. Yes.
Yes, I had a question. Thank you for the teaching. And I wanted to ask about paradox in terms of like mental affliction, like let's say anger,
Mm-hmm.
right? So recently noticed that one of my afflictions on the dark side that I didn't really notice was anger, and it was like kind of there underneath the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And the paradox is coming up in the sense that there's times when the anger is kind of like this very real solid thing, and then there's times when it's presents itself as, oh no, it's not really there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of stuck in this place where to deal with the anger I need to acknowledge it, but I realize that sometimes the acknowledgement can become this sort of place where I get stuck, and
Mm-hmm.
like then it becomes like I'm trying to reify this thing and make
Mm-hmm.
it a real thing. So I guess with this sort of middle way approach, how would you deal with something like, anger in a way that
Mm-hmm.
like you don't make it into more of a thing than it is, but at the same time you recognize that over a span of time it shows itself in various ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. To deal with any affliction, whether it's anger or attachment, you must first come to an acknowledgement or a realization as to what it is. I'm not talking about what it is in an ultimate sense. What is your actual experience that you're calling anger? What is the actual experience that you maybe calling attachment or whatever it is, that whatever affliction is going on? What is it that what is happening that you're calling, giving that name? That will help. This is a way of this is a kind of what you might call abhidharma way of dealing with it, where uh, when an experience is happening and it is imposing its reality on your mind, that it's making other things not as relevant as it is, but making its reality so strong that forces you to deal with it by not approaching it with judgment. Don't approach it with any prejudgment that it is something to be discarded, it is something to be adopted, but very openly approach it. Look at it. What is actually taking place that I'm calling anger? So by just this activity itself will make it lose its power. It will make it lose its impressing itself as being very real. And when it loses that sense of being very real, then you start to have a different perspective, a different seeing of what is going on. Okay. And you may even ask yourself like questions like uh, my experience with attachment, for example. say, "Oh, look at me! What I'm going through." They tell me it's called attachment. I'm also told that I shouldn't have this thing. Okay, if I shouldn't have this thing, let me see what is going on for me not to have it. It might be good for me. Okay, and with that sort of with that true openness, you with that true openness, it will reveal parts of itself. Otherwise, you will not be able to see because you're not looking at it with any prejudice. Okay. Uh, and I'm sure you've used other techniques of trying to deal with anger before. The uh, this is one approach. And the first approach that I mentioned, you may end up with in a state of paradox where there's no longer a reason to be angry any longer while you're still perceiving whatever it is that gave rise to the anger, where those two things don't necessarily equal the presence of perceiving this, experiencing this equals must be angry. Allowing yourself to just see it for what it is, what's actually going on physically, mentally, and emotionally, all those kinds of things. It will help you to do that kind of breakdown where you will be left in paradox. Okay, and the paradox will become healing for you, so that when you're at ease with paradox, you don't feel the need to go in one direction or another. You feel I can rest. Okay. Uh, so another approach specifically with anger is to understand that you are very concerned about something, and your concern is deep and sincere, and your anger is a way of dealing with that concern. So if you approach it with, as soon as anger comes up, tell yourself, what is it that I'm really concerned about here? And perhaps instead of uh, distracting ourselves from what we are really concerned about by doing something that the anger seems to be asking us to do, that is really just being distracting. That is really a distraction. So to really deal with the anger is to understand I have a sincere concern about something, a relevant concern about something. There's a sincere uh, uh, apprehension of some sort of danger, something that that seems to absolutely need protection. And you approach it that way. What is that concern? What is it that needs protection? Protection from what? And by going to this avenue, instead of concluding with anger, concluding with, okay, now I must destroy, you may end up with you may find yourself going in a different direction. So going to the direction of anger is just a habit of how we have conditioned ourselves to deal with certain concerns. Either anger is a quick way to distract ourselves from that concern because we feel powerless to deal with it, or we are more into the delusion that we are taking care of it by being angry. But the thing is, there is something for you to take care of, and it's a sincere concern. Begin with that and try to see what it is first. Okay? And whatever comes out of that, if it's coming from really apprehending your sincere concern, then you will be, you could say, you will be acting out of wisdom from that moment. And don't approach anger with a prejudgment. It is a bad thing I must get rid of. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Wow, that was a long answer. Sorry.
That was perfect.
Okay. Yes, Gerard.
It was a very beautiful answer. Beautiful, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
This is one of my favorite topics to ponder.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, it has led to really beautiful experiences for me. But also in the past, it has led to the intellectual mind becoming more active,
Mm-hmm.
arising to more chatter in my mind, taking me away from my immediate experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit on um, how to use the topic of paradox to navigate our meditation practice, and specifically why this topic is a means for liberation.
Oh, yes. So to begin with, the liberation that will be liberation from what? Liberation from a habit of a senseless habit, you could say, of a habit of wasting our time, a habit of wasting our energy, a habit of constantly wandering in limitations, a habit of wandering in meaninglessness. Okay, when there is this deep yearning for meaning, whatever that may be, whatever that experience may be. Okay, uh, if we remember, why did we begin this engagement that ended up with this intellectual thing in the first place? Is that there was something happening in our immediate reality that we were seeking a way of dealing with it in a real way. And as a tool of dealing with it, we came up with this thing that became just an intellectual exercise. We have to keep going back to, why did I begin? Why am I on the path? Why am I here? And the reason may have evolved. It could have been um, um, I was responding to my psychological inability to deal with rejection, for example. And I thought that perhaps being spiritual is a way of gaining acceptance. Okay. I mean, there's something more fundamental, much deeper than that, but that was my more immediate concern. And I entered the path that way because of that. Okay. So as I continued on the path, uh, this motivation may have evolved. There might be uh, what I really what I've come to realize is that when I feel accepted, it gives me this sense of meaningfulness, something like that. So it's not necessarily seeking acceptance, but seeking something deeper that I think the acceptance would give me. And that becomes now my motivation. Okay. And I'm seeking that through the path. And somewhere along the path, I'm encountering all these explanations of my experience, all these ways of seeking to understand my experience, all these uh, methods and explanations, and we can get lost into those methods. We get lost into those explanations, where those explanations and those methodologies that we are uh, looking into, uh, somewhere along the line, they're lost, they're disconnected from why I made connection with them in the first place. When we find ourselves where the experience is becoming purely intellectual, where the path itself, whatever it is that you're doing as part of the path, uh, um, it's not giving you results, but rather the immediate aim of doing whatever we are doing is something disconnected from the real reason why we got on the path in the first place. When we find ourselves in that, when we become too intellectual, we are distancing ourselves from reality. That is, by distancing ourselves from reality, I'm not talking about not engaging in social things. I'm talking about your reality, what is happening, you're distancing yourself from it. Okay? Whatever it may be. When we find ourselves in that experience, then we need to revisit why am I doing these things in the first place? What was the first thing the first impulse that brought me into this? And we have to find a way of reconnecting with that and making sure that what we are doing is actually addressing that. If somehow it has become so intellectual, and this could happen, it becomes so intellectual that it's completely distant from your initial reason, then let that go. Let the intellectual thing go. Instead, uh, the go back to recreating the intention for getting on the path. Make that strong. Make that even much stronger, so that it doesn't fade away over time. Make it very strong, and each time you feel your intention has guided you towards a practice, towards something, make sure the intention is always there, holding it, so that it doesn't fade away. Okay. And I would say a lot of the times the reason that that fades away, it somehow discouragement may have come in, and discouragement may have pushed us away. And by giving us the delusion that we are still on the path, but we are really already being completely discouraged, we absolutely have become convinced there's no way I can fulfill my initial intention. That has become the conviction. But I'm going to appear to stay on the path by continuing to do these things, but they're just uh, intellectual exercises. Each time you sit, not that to have an expectation of experiences, but be open to an experience that will address the initial intention as to why you were on the path in the first place. I hope that answered in some way, to some degree.
Yes, it did.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right. I'm going to say thank you for coming, and thank you for staying this long.
Can I ask something?
Oh, yes, parents. Are you on the beach somewhere on Saint-Tropez or something?
No, it's in Philippines.
The Philippines. Ah, you poor guy.
On a tiny island.
Yes, your question?
Yeah, you said we have to be free from samsara and nirvana, and how being in nirvana is being stuck.
Oh, what was that? I missed something.
How the fact to be in nirvana means that we are stuck there.
Oh,
Because we say we have to be free from nirvana and samsara.
yeah.
So, what is the danger? How are we being stuck in nirvana? Sorry.
Yeah. The the Mahayana answer for that is that nirvana is not that one who does it actually has the intention, but it ends up being neglecting those who are not in those who are not in nirvana, those who are still in samsara. When you make nirvana the only the absolute destination, that in by definition becomes neglecting those still in samsara. Okay. So the paradoxical thing is to don't stay in samsara and don't stay in nirvana. Be free of both. And that is referred to as being truly enlightened. Okay.
So being in nirvana is not being free, because then if I'm neglecting the appearance of other beings, I am not fulfilling the purpose of the Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Cheryl, you were going to say something? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask, is that because, at the end of we do a meditation at the end, and it's like the other person is part of us. We're not doing something to help ourselves when we help another person. We're all like one.
Mm-hmm.
And is that, if you go into nirvana only for yourself, you're neglecting the fact that you're a part of the whole and it's all one? Is that part of it?
Yeah.
Or not really? It is?
Now, see, the paradox comes in. It's not that you are obligated not to stay in nirvana. It's not an obligation per se, but it's in a sense, it's not that you cannot enter nirvana with the intention, I'm going there just for myself. If you have that intention, you cannot achieve any taste of nirvana. There mustn't be this intention in your mind at all. But if you do not have the intention, I want this to be of service to every being that exists. If you don't have this intention, not that you need to have it, not that you better have it, it's a choice that you are free to have and not have. But and because of the reality of the interconnectedness of all of us, someone said something like, "How can I enjoy if the ultimate end is that some of us will be in heaven, some of us will be in hell forever?" Then someone said, how can the people in heaven enjoy being in heaven when they know that there are people suffering in hell? So that would be their heaven becomes a hell for them because they are thinking about other people suffering. So something similar like that. But the experience of nirvana is, it's not that you are thinking about other people who are not in your nirvana and you saying, well, I'm not going to help them. I work very hard to get here. I don't want to lose my seat. It's not that you're thinking those things. The thing is, when you're in nirvana, you cannot think of others. It is impossible for you to think of others. The only thing you can have is your own experience of, I am free from having to suffer. So for bodhisattva, that is hell, for you not to be able to even have the capacity to know and think of someone else who is suffering. Okay. But it is because of that reality of interconnectedness.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. Wow, this is the longest one. Yes.
Yeah. Can can you lead us on this meditation called tasting nirvana, please?
Well, I can lead you in the meditation, but the tasting is up to you.
Okay.
Are you ready? If you don't taste it, it's not my fault.
There's no fault. We're not in the fault finding.
All right. Have the intention to taste nirvana. And let that intention be communicated to all the different dimensions of you, the physical, the energetic, the intellectual, the emotional, and whatever other kind of dimensions that you have. Feel yourself in the very center of all these dimensions, wherever that center may be for you, on your head, your heart, your navel. And feel that intention having been communicated to the physical body, and the physical body responding, giving you advice. Make this adjustment with your leg, make this adjustment with your seat, make this adjustment with your back, make this adjustment with your hands and shoulders, your head and neck, your eyes, until you arrive at some kind of a confidence that, okay, the body is okay. Then gently bring attention now to the breath. Not trying to direct the breath one way or the other, just being present with the breath. And eventually begin to be aware of the breath slightly shifting its behavior, directing itself closer to that experience of calm, pleasantness, clear, bright, collected. And with a strong intention to go as deeply as you can, take a nice deep breath, hold, and release. And as you release, let yourself go physically, let yourself go emotionally, let yourself go in the breath, let yourself go in the mind. Feel a strong relaxation, a strong letting go taking place. Let go. Do not reject. Do not grasp. And be aware of all of us sitting in a circle. And the recognition of, even though you honor our individual appearances, at the same time, you recognize the paradox that we are also not separate. And just like the right hand is ready to help the left hand without thinking the right helping the left, but I'm helping myself, think of each other in the same way. And as we think of each other in the same way, there's a bright presence beginning to appear in the center of our circle. And the stronger the sense of ourself having expanded to include all of us, that's bright center, it begins to expand. As it expands, it gets brighter. As it gets brighter, it expands. As it expands and gets brighter, our sense of our separateness fades. We do not lose completely the integrity of our individuality, but at the same time, we do not hold it to be the only reality. So we're holding the paradox, one and many, both real. And it expands, and the appearance of our separate appearance is absorbed into this bright realization, this bright presence. And it continues to expand, absorbing everything, everyone, the mountains, nature, the rivers, the oceans, absorbing everything. Until there's a sense of everything has been absorbed into that bright presence. And there's no other appearance but that bright presence. And feel the weight and whatever it is that is giving the weight, it becomes pure light, and it is absorbed in the very center, and we don't feel weight anymore. And whatever is giving us a sense of temperature, heat, appears as a different light, and it is absorbed within the center, and there's no sense of heat, no sense of temperature, no sense of weight. And whatever is giving us a sense of spatiality, dimension, location, that becomes light, and that is absorbed in the center. And there is no sense of space anymore, no up, no down, just being. And this very appearance of this brightness, now we have a sense of awareness, where there is something to be aware of and something that is aware of something. This is just an experience. Be ready to go beyond that. So that appearance is a light, and it is absorbed. This very fundamental potential. Now it's going to become something. Hold the paradox. Separate, one, not the other, not both, not both. And here we are, back again in a circle. And with a very strong understanding When I sincerely help myself, I'm helping all of us. When I sincerely help us, I'm helping myself. And get ready to come out. Take a nice deep breath. Release. And deliberately let yourself reconnect with your immediate surroundings, the sense of touch, the sense of hearing, through the sense of sight. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.